Few fighters have made striking look so easy. At times, he looks nearly untouchable, entering a state of flow that he calls the God mode.
I hit this mode called God mode where I just feel like this guy can't touch me.
Before the world knew Israel Adesanya as the MMA fighter, he was a kickboxer that only a few people knew internationally. But for those who knew him as a rising prospect, we knew for a long time that he was someone truly special. In kickboxing, he won 75 fights with only 5 losses, with several of his fights being controversial. He's had many prolific bouts with the best fighters in his weight classes, but his most spectacular feat in striking was how he dominated 9 men in 3 nights. In a total of a 24-man bracket over 3 tournaments, Israel the Stylebender Adesanya beat them all. Not only did he beat these champion fighters, he won each of the fights in a spectacular fashion, showboating the entire way through.
You don't get paid by the round, so you gotta get in there and get out quickly. Hey, what did I say? Told you so.
Fight fans, welcome back to another episode of Striking Breakdowns. In this episode, we feature how the Stylebender pulls off incredible victories in kickboxing while looking untouchable. Behind his showmanship and antics, Adesanya is an absolutely brilliant technician. At times, he looked unbeatable. Looking unbeatable is only possible for a select group of fighters. These fighters are those who live in the Matrix. Saenchai and Lordzilla are in the same category of Adesanya, and they all have something in common. These are fighters who download information from their opponents and adapt to their weaknesses and openings. In a world where the strongest are the most adaptable, these are the fighters who can face any fighter and have a high chance of winning. They rely on their vision to read patterns and discourage the opponent with showmanship. After all, there is nothing more discouraging than facing an opponent who makes it look so easy while you're trying so hard. So how does he pull it off? Well, the Stylebender is what we call an all-range fighter. He can go into different styles and beat each fighter at their own game. Although he does his best work in the long range, where he picks them apart while gathering information, Adesanya can also do extremely well in the mid-range and short range. On top of his technical attributes, vision and heart are the 2 biggest factors to making a champion, and Adesanya has both. He is willing to risk it all in a fight, a trait that's required in a once-in-a-generation fighter. Stylistically, a lot of Adesanya's style is based off full stops and quick starts. This is the art of broken rhythm. Mixing slower attacks with explosive attacks ensures the opponent cannot get an easy read on what will happen next. His ability to dominate the long range and pattern read is why we predicted his rise as a UFC champion. But perhaps his most impressive attribute is how he sets up his knockouts. Adesanya is arguably the best fighter at setting traps in the sport. Everyone recognises him for his spectacular offensive abilities, but few people are aware of how he's setting them up. Adesanya uses his defensive ability to draw his opponents into attacks. His slickness and evasiveness, combined with showboating, triggers the opponent to repeatedly attack with big combinations. Because he's able to defend all the attacks so well, it quickly exhausts the energy of his opponents. This is extremely tiring physically and mentally. Having this defensive ability allows for a fast recharge in power. After all, no one can repeat attacks with the same power and explosiveness throughout a fight. An explosive movement requires rest, and good defense is what allows for this rest. Once sufficiently recharged, an explosive combination can immediately follow. If you note carefully, many of Adesanya's best attacks are immediately after his opponent's aggressive bursts. In fact, most of his knockouts are a result of using this tactic. The showmanship is in fact just a built-in tactic to bait aggression. All the slick technicians have historically used this, with Saenchai being one of the most prominent examples. This is why many of Adesanya's best moments will be from him bouncing off the ropes. He uses the rebounding energy from the ropes to collide with an aggressive opponent coming in. The more he makes his opponents miss, the more easily he can immediately follow with an explosive combination that ends the fight. Showboating is almost always a feature in an untouchable fighter's arsenal. Showboating is exactly what allows them to make their opponent do what they want them to do. Throughout a fight, most of Adesanya's movements are not actual attacks. They're feints to get the opponent to commit to their attack. This again allows him to download information and select an attack based on their weaknesses. At the same time, Adesanya collects information with his actual attacks as well. He has the entire range of striking arsenal to collect information with, and is able to use them brilliantly in every fight he's had. In the future, we will be breaking down his best knockouts and how he sets up each of them in detail. Happy New Year! If you've had a tough year, here's an inspirational message from the champion.
Yeah, we are. All about mindset. Believe in whatever you want to do, you can do it. I promise.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to watch another episode of Striking Breakdowns. I'm Lawrence Kenshin, and thank you for keeping our channel alive.